Hey folks, this is the Rock and Roll King, Robert R. McFarland, talking to you. Welcome to episode 9 of the Rock and Roll CD, How It Came to Be. Where we left off was, we was in the studio and we had Renee and Brad do some tracks. So, I want to introduce my J200 here, Gibson J200. Just, when I play acoustic guitar, this is the first guitar that I pick up. As you can see, I've worn off some of the flowers on the pick guard here, but absolutely love this guitar. Beautiful flame maple, without the lights that are shining on it. Quick story on this: I went down to Wildwood Music back in '96 or somewhere, and this is a guitar that I mainly went to get, but they had a Guild, I think it was a JF 55 model. To my ears, the Guild actually sounded better, but I got this because so many great players played this guitar, or this style guitar. Lenny Kravitz, Pete Townsend, just to name a few. I just love the Elvis Presley, I think, had one of these. So the history of this guitar has just been, phenomenal. It's, again, acoustic guitar, first guitar I grabbed. It's one of my favorites. So I recorded Roese on this, and Pete's song, and all the other acoustic guitar. I have a Martin too that I did some acoustic work on there, but most of the guitar acoustic wise is going to be this guitar right here. So we left off. I want to tell you a story about money. This project again started out as maybe a 10 song CD, 12 song CD. I had some car trouble. I was in sales at the time, so some of my sales checks was not enough money to support me going to the studio. So there was maybe a couple months where I wasn't in the studio, or weeks would go by that I wasn't in the studio. So when I hooked up with Joe, I basically said, "Hey, I'm going to take a loan out for this. I've got to get this out, okay? Because at the rate I'm going, it's going to be 5, 6, 7 years if I'm just paying as I go," which I wanted to. So with money, I'm going deep over my head on this, the way that I'm doing it. Sometimes if you have a whole band, you can go in, record the whole band, just touch up what needs to be touched up. But we're putting this piece by piece in, getting people in, when we need it. So again, I don't know the exact number, but if you think about it in the scheme of things, that's actually really not that much money compared to some of the, major labels that these guys are involved. Some of these, couple $100,000, maybe $1 million. So I look at it kind of both ways. Just me doing it, I'm flipping a bill all myself, but it's going to be worth it once we get through it. So right around this, I think we left off about June 4th and 5th. So we're in the month of July right now, July 17th. So I went back in the studio with Joe, and the next session I had, I was going to try to put some solos down for Roese and also My Midnight. And again, I had some timing issues, and I just didn't know what to do with Roese, and My Midnight just wasn't coming off like I wanted it to. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do the solo on My Midnight, or we might have an organ solo, or maybe even a slide solo. Derek, who I'm getting ready to talk about here in a second, mentioned that maybe Roese or My Midnight should have a slide solo on it. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But I had another realization. Hey, maybe my soloing is not going to be up to snuff as my singing wasn't on these songs. So I had to think of a couple ways. Okay, can I, in maybe a month or two, can I become this fantastic, phenomenal soloist? Being realistic, I don't think I can. I can do a pretty good job, but I wanted to do the best I can. And some of the songs I don't think I could have did the best on. So I started thinking, let me invite some of my friends, my buddies that can play, and it'd be a treat to have them on there, but also they're better soloists than I am. So one of the first guys I got a hold of was my guy I went to school with, Roosa. A great player, has been in all kinds of bands. The backstory with Derek, he didn't remember until I told him. He actually lent me my first electric guitar. I remember going over to him. We went to school together. We're both the same age. He was born in 1970. That's going to play a part here in just a second. But I was just doing bluegrass, so I brought over a cheap acoustic guitar that I had. I think it was a Guild, which actually wasn't a cheap guitar, but it was not set up. It was kind of beat up Guild guitar, which I still have, but it needs a lot of work done on it. But we was playing bluegrass, and he was just getting like Yngwie Malmsteen and stuff like that. So he's way ahead of me. But he lent me the first electric guitar, and we started talking about it. He doesn't remember now. He told me it was a Lotus guitar. It was either golden red or an illusion color, golden red. I can't remember exactly how it was. But he loaned that to me for a few months until I graduated from high school. I had enough money saved up with my graduation money to buy my own electric guitar and amp for graduation. So he was very instrumental. Derek, thank you, my man, for getting me started on electric guitar. And to pay it back, I said, hey man, love to have you on my my CD here. And he said, well, send me some tracks. I don't have a lot of time, but I might be able to find time to do a session or so for you. And so I sent him some tracks, and he goes, yeah, man. And he sent me on the phone. He was playing Rock and Roll King, and I said, dude, that's what we need. And I told Joe, and he goes, Robert, I think, if possible, you should be able to play these songs because, it's your CD. You'll have much of the guitar work on there. So I told Derek, I said, hey, man, Joe wants me to go back in and try these songs again. And he goes, that's cool. And he played me. I was watching that Rock and Roll King solo. I was like, I don't think I could top that. So I told Joe, I was like, listen, Joe, I don't think I could top what he's doing on these songs, and that's why I want to bring him in. And Joe goes, hey, let's just bring him in. Let's, see what happens, but still try to consider you playing more of the solos. I said, no problem, Joe. So we brought him in. He did Rock and Roll King, and Joe's like, dude, yeah, perfect solo for the song. Great. Then Roese came up, and I said, Derek, kind of play what he was playing. I didn't even know what Derek was going to play. He said he had something melodic, and he played it for Joe, and Joe turned around in his head because he's like, dude, play exactly what you just played. Play that. And so he went there and played it, and that's what the song needed, and I couldn't have figured that out. So again, it's about being humble. It's about doing what's best for the song. And we all agreed Derek's solo was the best for the song. I couldn't come up with it. Joe could have told me, and Joe's good about direction, but I don't know if I can interpret what Joe wanted me to do. So Derek did a great solo for the Roese. You'll hear that. He did Born to Rock and Peter Pan Peanut Butter Jam, which he never practiced on. I gave him the song. He might have heard it. But I went in that session that Derek came over and did my solo. So Peter Pan Peanut Butter Jam is going to be me doing the first solo, Derek doing the second solo, Kevin Ashby doing the third solo, and hopefully Marty Hayes is coming in. I'm penciling him in for the 26th, but he'll do the fourth solo. So that's what we did for that session. And again, Derek knocked it out of the park. Again, somebody who said, let me try it again. And me and Joe and Mikey said, there's no way you can top that. It's perfect. Let me go back in and at least try. And he went in and he topped it. So again, these people didn't have to do that. They could have said, hey, there's your solo, blah, 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 I'm done for the day. But they wanted to do their absolute best for the song. And that's what's making these songs so good, I'm telling you. Even if I didn't write these songs would be this good because everybody is taking the time to make it the best. And wait till you hear it. You'll definitely be on the same page. The people put their heart and soul in. And for me personally, even though I wrote these songs, after hearing Mikey and Sammy interpret the songs, when Brad and Renee and Kevin started doing their things, I eased up a little bit and knew, hey, these guys are doing their absolute best, more than I could do. Let them run with it. And Derek, I would peek around the corner and watch him in there, and he'd be doing those guitar faces like we all do, all this stuff like this, And I got such a thrill, man, to watch somebody else getting off on my music, but putting their heart and soul and stamp on it to make that soul of theirs. Same thing with Joe Veers. He puts his heart and stamp on every song to make it part his. Everybody says, hey, you wrote a great song. I wrote a good song. I play decent guitar. But these guys are making these songs great. And wait till you hear them, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I often say, I'm probably the least talented person on this CD. When you hear the CD, you'll probably agree. We got some phenomenal players on this CD. World-class musicians, folks. Again, I keep saying it, I'm not lying to you. We're coming for your ears. August 2016, maybe September 2016. But we're coming for your ears, and we will take possession of your ears. It's going to be that good. You're going to love it that much. But that's kind of where we ended up so far. Until next time, this is the Rock and Roll King, Robert R. McFarland, talking to you. Music's the soundtrack of life. Make sure you have some every day. And keep rocking in the free world while it's still free. Folks, it's all for one and one for all. And all for rock and roll. Thanks, buddy.